Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of year where I make a video reacting to a report, and about an hour later, another report comes out. And so, lock in, prepare yourself. There's going to be many breaking news reports on this channel leading up to the NBA draft. This one does mean something. The 76ers have engaged with the Spurs involving the number 2 overall pick. Now, I'm going to talk about this article. I'm going to talk about what it means that the 76ers have actually had conversations with the Spurs to trade up. And then I'm going to go over to the trade machine and tell you the perfect trade that the 76ers should do with the San Antonio Spurs if they want to move up to number 2. Let's talk about why the 76ers could possibly want to move up to number 2. So here it is. Sources: the 76ers have engaged with the Spurs about potentially moving up to the number 2 pick. For now, the 76ers have zeroed in on 4 NBA draft prospects with the number 3 pick, including VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey. I'm assuming the other 2 are Dylan Harper and Trey Johnson. Maybe Kaman Maluach is in their 4 prospects. But I really would guess it's between VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, and if they can trade up for number 2. Now, Dylan Harper is widely viewed as a consensus number 2 prospect behind Cooper Flagg and would likely be the top pick in most other years. Probably last year, I think he would be the number 1 pick overall. Standing 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan, Harper combines a strong physical profile with legitimate guard skills. There's a lot to like about his game, and even more to like about how he could fit with the Sixers. I have a take. Dylan Harper is often compared to James Harden. Daryl Morey loves him some James Harden. Daryl Morey loves James Harden like a fat kid loves cake. Daryl Morey loves James Harden like Tobias Harris likes crumble cookies. Daryl Morey loves James Harden so much, he had a life-size painting created of James Harden and hung it in the entranceway to his house. Daryl Morey loves James Harden so much, he passed up on a package of Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Harrison Barnes for Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Matisse Thybulle a couple of years ago because he wanted James Harden back that bad. And then he gave up Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 future first-round picks to bring James Harden to Philly well past his prime, even after James Harden had just asked out of Houston, showed up to training camp 30 pounds overweight, and then asked out of Brooklyn 2 years later and showed up to training camp 30 pounds overweight. Daryl Morey still gave up all of that to bring fat James Harden to Philly. That's how much he loves James Harden. Dylan Harper is often compared to James Harden. Daryl Morey could love Dylan Harper as the second coming of James Harden. And a man that loves something as much as Daryl Morey loves James Harden is a dangerous man. Who knows what Daryl Morey would give to trade up to number 2 if he loves Dylan Harper as much as he loves James Harden. Let's look at the comparison here, man. Dylan Harper, a highly touted guard prospect for the 2025 NBA draft, has been compared to James Harden due to his size, shot creation ability, passing creativity, and scoring instincts. Harper's father, Ron Harper, a former NBA player, has also acknowledged the similarities, but ultimately sees his son as having a more complete all-around game. I would assume he is talking about more off-ball creation, catch and shoot ability, which James Harden for some reason still can't do, and defensive ability, which James Harden has never done. Both Harper and Harden are described as having a blend of skills that allow them to be effective both on and off the court. They allow them to be effective both on and off the court. How is he effective off the court? They both possess strong court vision, are capable of creating their own shot, and can finish at the rim. I think maybe the AI meant on and off the ball. But anyway, there is obviously a Dylan Harper-James Harden comparison. And Daryl Morey loves him some James Harden. If the Spurs feel like Ace Bailey fits what they're doing or fits their team makeup better than Dylan Harper does, since they have De'Aaron Fox and Stephen Castle, and Wemby's ready to win now. I think the Spurs maybe make a trade for a win now player that kind of jumps them into contention versus drafting a guy. But if they feel like we're going to draft somebody, it's going to be a wing. If the Spurs feel like Ace Bailey fits what they want to do or fits their team better than Dylan Harper does, the 76ers could move up to number 2 relatively easily. Now, there will be some other teams that are offering the Spurs trade packages to move up to number 2, but the 76ers would have the advantage here because the 76ers hold the value that the Spurs would want, which is the number 3 pick. The Spurs probably don't, if they're going to draft a player, they probably don't want to trade down any farther than 3 or 4, I would think, if it's Ace Bailey or VJ Edgecombe. So we can go back to this. The legendary Markelle Fultz trade, where the 76ers traded up to the number 1 overall pick from number 3 to draft Markelle Fultz. And it was the right move at the time. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody that was around, that was alive, that was older than 9 years old at the time of this 2017 draft, Markelle Fultz was the number 1 pick. Nobody was even really talking about Jason Tatum becoming a superstar or anything like that. Everybody likes to act like they have 20/20 hindsight, but the real thing is that Markelle Fultz was the number 1 pick. Anyway, 76ers traded up to number 1, and in addition to the number 3 overall pick, they gave up 2018 first-round pick from the Lakers and a 2019 first-round pick from the Kings. So the 76ers could pretty easily, if the Spurs want number 3, trade up to number 2 without giving up much extra. They're going to have to give up something to make it worth it for the Spurs. I don't want to give up any young prospects if I'm the Sixers. I'm not throwing Justin Edwards in there, even though I could see probably Daryl Morey doing that. I don't want to throw... I'm not putting Jared McCain in any of that. Get out of here. People were talking about Jared McCain in number 3. Give me a break. We're not doing that. Here is the realistic trade that could land the 76ers the number 2 pick in the draft, and it's simple. The number 3 pick in the draft, the 2028 unprotected Clippers first-round pick for the Spurs number 2. There you go. Spurs want to move down to number 3 to get Ace Bailey. They get number 3 and a first-round pick for the 76ers to move up 2 spots. Let me know what you think.